So welcome all to All Life is Yoga. This is a program that's being hosted by the LaGrasse Center here in Fountain, South Carolina. All Life is Yoga is a series of talks, interviews, meditations, and practices for the transformation of consciousness and its reflection in all activities and relationships in our life. So I'm Radhe, and I am joined by Vladimir Yatsenko, also here at the LaGrasse Center, and of course, Letitia Walker, our guest instructor for today's webinar on concentration and meditation. So welcome so very much, Letitia. And it's always a pleasure to be hosting her. Letitia has been an instructor at our annual Sri Aurobindo and Tegla Yoga retreat these past couple of years. So many of you may have met her there. And she also has a very, very beautiful yoga studio in Asheville, North Carolina, called, let me just mute HP. Sorry about that. Just trying to get the background noise out. So she has a beautiful yoga studio in Asheville, North Carolina called Purna Yoga 828. And Vladimir and I had the opportunity to visit her there. It's a studio that's in honor of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So very, very beautiful. And if you get a chance, please visit. So today, Letitia will introduce 3 simple but effective concentration and meditation techniques that can be done in just a few minutes to keep us connected to our inner source of guidance, as well as deliver the physical benefits of meditation. These techniques are called Heartful Meditation and are grounded in the writings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, which Letitia will share during the meditations. So what we'll do, as always, is use the Q&A box. There will be a couple occasions that Letitia will be pausing to take any questions that you might have. And so throughout this webinar, if questions pop up, just put it in the Q&A box that you see down below. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our guest speaker, Letitia. Again, welcome.
Thank you so much, Radhe. It is such a pleasure to be here. So good morning and good evening to some of you, depending on where you are. As Radhe said, my name is Letitia Walker, and I have been involved with the LaGrasse family for a few years now as an instructor at retreats, and I'm always so pleased to be involved in your activities. So today we are going to focus on 3 simple meditation techniques. So the style of meditation that we do in Purna Yoga is called Heartful Meditation. So Purna Yoga is a style of yoga that aims to bring Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's integral yoga into the sort of modern yoga practice. And its founders are Adil Pakyavala, who is a longtime devotee of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and his wife, Savitri. And all of the techniques that I'll be sharing with you today are created or codified by Savitri, but very much rooted in the work of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. She often says that Sri Aurobindo is the one who guided her to come to know these techniques. So I'm very pleased to share these techniques with you today. Myself, as a meditation practitioner, I've been practicing since 2008. I was always very interested in meditation, but I found it to be very challenging. I have a mind that likes to keep going. And so styles of meditation that focused on just sort of shutting your mind down and letting go of thoughts were very challenging for me. And so I wasn't able to really get a meditation practice going until I started studying with Savitri and learning these heartful meditation techniques. So let's take a moment. Those of you who have a meditation practice, if you could let me know in the chat if you do have a meditation practice, and if you do, what it might be like. You know, maybe you're a Vipassana meditator, maybe you do TM, right? Whatever it is, just take a moment and put something in the chat and let me know if you have a meditation practice and what it's like. And I'll let you have an opportunity to put that in, and we'll see what pops up. I also have included the internet URL for the studio in Asheville, North Carolina, purnayoga828.com, where you can find out more about our offerings there.
And while you're waiting for them to put that in the chat box, HP has joined us. So welcome, HP. And he's probably also looking forward, Letitia, because he's joined a couple of your sessions before at the Integral Yoga.
HP, it is so lovely to see you. You and I keep crossing our paths in the most interesting ways. I had the great fortune to be in Pondicherry for the mother's birthday, and HP and I were standing like two people away from each other in line to go into Mantra Mandir. I said, wait a minute, I know you. Okay, beautiful. So we have some folks who chant for 20 to 30 minutes. We have people who do breath awareness meditation, TM, Savitri readings, guided, heart awareness, reading lines from Savitri. Yes, I couldn't agree more. I always have my copy of Savitri nearby when I'm meditating, and I find that to be just a beautiful way to move yourself into that meditation space. Lovely, lovely. Minute or two of consecrating at the beginning of every hour for a few days. What a beautiful practice that is. 30 minutes of daily Vipassana practice. Beautiful. All right. So many people, yes, we have pictures of the mother and Sri Aurobindo right behind us, looking at pictures of the mother and using your imagination. So we have many people on the group that are joining us that are meditation practitioners. Please feel free to let me know if you're someone like me who wants to meditate but doesn't have a practice, and you're looking for this to give you some techniques to start working with. Okay. All right. Well, let's dive in. Please continue to start, say things in the chat to me, but let's go into the work. So first off, a meditation that is rooted in the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother is a dynamic meditation. So meditation for them was not so much just, sitting and breathing, but meditation is meant to be transformative. So let me start off just reading a few words from the Mother on meditation. Meditation is the easiest process for the human mind, but the narrowest in its results. Contemplation, more difficult, but greater. Self-observation and liberation from the chains of thought, the most difficult of all, but the widest and greatest in its fruits. One can choose any one of them according to one's bent and capacity. The perfect method is to use them all, each in its own place and for its own object. A dynamic meditation is a meditation which has the power to transform your being, a meditation which is progressive. Usually, people do not have a dynamic meditation. When they enter into what they call meditation, it is a kind of immobility in which nothing changes. They come out of it just as they entered into it, without any progress, either in their being or in their consciousness. They could meditate in this way for eternities, and it would bring no change either in themselves or in the universe. That is why Sri Aurobindo speaks of dynamic meditation, for it is just the contrary. It is a transforming meditation. So that's the type of meditation that we're going to work with today, a dynamic, transformative meditation, so that who you are when you finish the meditation is not the same person as when you began. And in being a part of this process, we are moving through the path of evolution that Sri Aurobindo speaks to. So those of you who are looking for techniques to establish a regular practice, a practice that is more than just eliminating the thoughts or watching a candle flame or counting your breaths, which is necessary. And I think of that more as concentration, and we will do a little bit of that today, but a meditation that is truly transformative, that helps you progress and bring change. So let's take just a few moments here and make sure that you have a place to sit comfortably. For me, whenever I am meditating, I like to have flowers around, right? I like to have beauty around me. I like to have a flame. I have my pictures of the mother and Sri Aurobindo. I have another set in front of me here. So allow yourself to be comfortable. And if it feels comfortable to you to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. If you'd rather keep your eyes open, hold a soft focus. And let's just spend a few moments paying attention to our breath and entering into concentration, dharana, as we call it in the Ashtanga path in yoga. So you could sit wherever, in a chair, on the floor, on the edge of your bed, and let your hands rest on your thighs, palms up, and begin to deepen your breath. And let this deepening of your breath be an opportunity to become more settled. Think of it as the precursor for meditation. It is walking into the foyer before you step into the meditation chamber. And as you watch your breath and notice your breath, notice what is coming up within you that is asking to transform. Is there a physical issue that is seeking change? Perhaps an anxiety or worry, or simply excessive thinking that you wish to redirect? Or an emotional story that you're looking to rewrite? And I'll be quiet for just a few moments and let you observe. And perhaps even ask of yourself, what would you like me to shift today? How would you like me to transform myself today? Asking that inner guidance to speak. And then slowly release from watching your breath. Perhaps open your eyes again and have a sense of what you are going to be working on in our meditation. All right, so the first technique we're going to work with is the Heartful Meditation technique called mental centering. And mental centering is a technique that straddles both concentration and meditation. So let's think of concentration, dharana, as this practice of calming the mind, focusing on our breath, it's not necessarily going to bring that transformation. And meditation as the transformational state that is possible because of concentration. In Heartful Meditation, we always use our body and movement as a key element to the practice. Why? Because we want the whole of ourselves to be involved in the practice. So, this first technique, mental centering, can be done anywhere. It takes just a short bit of time, but you also could do it as long as you wanted. It can help you just to concentrate or take you into that deep state of meditation. So let me show you what it looks like. And then after I show you the technique, you'll have an opportunity to put something in the Q&A if you have any questions. Now, as I'm showing you the technique, please feel free to do the movements with me. Some of us are kinesthetic learners, and doing things as we're hearing the instructions can be very helpful. With mental centering, what we are looking to do is to gather up the contents of our mind, right? This is one of the main energy centers of the body. And to bring those thoughts, those brain waves, those anxieties, those worries, or simply excessive thought, as well as our sensory experiences, into the heart, to concentrate in the heart, as the mother says. So to do this technique, you start with your hands, all of the fingers together, including the thumbs, and the hands slightly cupped, and the hands about 3 to 4 inches away from your ears. So it's not way out here, although, I mean, maybe your brain waves go out that far, but mine are more contained. So you start with your hands beside your ears, fingertips pointing up, not pointing backwards. And then on the next exhalation, you bring your hands together in front of your eyes. So your thumbs are right in line with your eyes and your eyebrows, in line with the Sushumna Nadi, the central channel of the body. Here we take an inhalation. And then on the next exhalation, we draw our hands down to our heart to remind ourselves that it is that divine voice, that spark of the divinity within us, that we wish to be our guide, to be our voice, to pay attention to what it says. So let's just practice that movement together, not as a way to actually use the technique, but to see that we've got it. So bring your hands beside your ears, all of the fingers together, hands slightly cupped, fingertips pointing up. And then on the next exhalation, bring your hands together, thumbs in line with your eyebrows. Inhale. And on the next exhalation, draw the hands down to your heart. Okay, so we're going to do a very brief meditation with just this technique, but I want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions in the Q&A before we get started. So please feel free if you have any questions about mental centering, our first technique. You can put it in the Q&A right now. I'll just give a few moments for that. It's a very simple technique, very easy technique. You'll have a chance to ask a few questions after we practice it a few times as well. And you can see it's such a short technique. It only takes 2 breaths. Exhale, inhale, exhale. So it can be done very quickly to realign you with your inner guidance. All right, I'm not seeing any questions show up, so let's practice this technique 3 times together. So remember what you were paying attention to during our focus on the breath. Was there a mental issue that is wanting your attention? And then inhaling. Bring your hands beside your ears, all of the fingers together, palms slightly cupped. And on your next exhalation, as you bring your hands together, gather up that issue. Of course, you can have your eyes closed if you'd like. Hold that issue between your hands as you inhale. And on the next exhalation, draw the hands, draw that thought, draw that issue down to your heart center. For healing and transformation. Inhaling, lift your hands again. Exhaling, bring the hands together, gathering up thoughts about the past, anticipations of the future. Inhale as the hands come together. And exhaling, draw the hands down to your heart center, drawing those thoughts down for healing and transformation. Inhaling, lift your hands one last time. The thumbs do not actually touch the forehead, but you can let them touch to know that you're in the right place. Beautiful question, Michael. Thank you. So exhale, gather up your senses, all the things you've heard, seen, and touched so far today. Bring your hands together, thumbs in line with your eyebrows. Inhale. And then on the next exhalation, draw the thoughts, the senses, the smells, the tastes, down to the heart center. And then release your hands and open your eyes. And just notice how so much has shifted in your consciousness just in these 3 simple rounds. So I use this technique to help me become focused. If I'm about to have a serious conversation or work on a project, I'm also a writer, so if I'm getting ready to write, I always start with mental centering. It also can help with headaches as well as insomnia. So meditation can improve our quality of sleep. This can be a beautiful technique to do right before bed to help you sleep more soundly. All right. Does anyone have any questions about that first technique, mental centering? I'm going to put the name of it in the chat.
I'm thinking too, Letitia, it's probably going to be easier and quicker for folks just to be using the chat than trying to find that Q&A box and write in.
Okay. All right. So I'm not thinking that we have any questions on this technique. Again, they're very simple. They're very practical. They're very easy to use. So let's move on to our next technique. And that is called flowering. So as I said, I always like to have flowers with my meditation. We all know how important flowers were to the mother. So I have these beautiful candy cane striped roses. And you can see some of them are more open than others. Some of them are still a little bit more closed. I don't quite have any buds in the mix. So if mental centering allows us to become more focused and to focus on the heart and to deepen our concentration to lead into meditation, flowering is a technique that helps us expand this inner wisdom in the heart center. So this is what flowering looks like. Imagine a tight bud in your heart And then you take all of the fingers of your right hand, the fingertips together, just like that tight flower bud, and you bring it to the heart center. Now, the heart center is the spot right in the middle of the chest, sort of in line with the armpits. It's actually where your thymus gland is. So this technique also helps to stimulate the thymus gland, which improves our immune system. So all 5 fingers together and right at the heart. And then on the inhalation, keeping contact with the skin, you spread the fingers apart as if that flower is opening. That rosebud is opening up its petals. On the exhalation, you separate the fingers from your skin. You bring all of the fingers back together and then back to the heart center. All right, so there's that technique. I just got a great question about when do we prefer to do meditation. So that's the thing about heartful meditation is that, the outer world is always looking to take us away from our inner guidance. It is always looking to distract us. So my teacher, Savitri, calls these techniques snacks, and they're meant to be done throughout the day. That's why all of them are so short. It just takes 2 breaths to do most of them, so that when I feel like I am getting distracted, when I feel like I'm getting pulled away from my path, I can do one of these techniques very quickly to recenter myself, to stay on that evolution path that Sri Aurobindo has laid out for us. That being said, I always start my day with meditation and I end my day with meditation. But I do these snacks throughout the day. Mental centering, every time I get into my car before I take off, I center my mind one time to help me stay focused on my driving. Whenever I feel like I'm getting frustrated or agitated or angry, I flower to help me remember that I want to meet the world with love and kindness. So let's practice flowering together. So bring all of the fingers together of the right hand in that tight little flower bud. Bring them to your heart center, that spot in the middle of the chest in line with the armpits. And then keeping contact on your inhalation, spread your fingers as widely as you would like today. Feel that sense of opening in your chest. And then when you exhale, separate, bring the fingers back together and back to the heart. Okay, so let's practice that one 3 times as well. So again, if it feels comfortable to you to close your eyes, close your eyes. Remember how we brought all of that mental energy down into the heart. We think of this as the transformation station of the body, the strongest energy center in the body. If you are left-handed, still use the right hand for this. If for some reason you do not have use of your right hand, you can use the left. But it is ideal to do all of this work with the right hand. If you do not have use of either of your hands, simply imagine that you are doing this work. Imagine that the hand is there. All right, so all of the fingers of the right hand to your heart center. On your inhalation, spread the fingers as widely as you'd like. And it's okay if you feel like the fingers don't want to go very wide at first. When you're exhaling, take your hand away, bring the fingers back together and back to your heart. And do this 2 more times at your own breath. Use your inhalations to open, your exhalations to prepare to begin again. And 1 more time. Feel your heart opening like that beautiful flower you see behind me. And then release. And again, just notice how that feels. Notice what changes you have brought into your body. That it's more than just becoming calm, but it's becoming peaceful, right? Remember, peace is one of those 12 qualities of the mother's symbol. It's more than just being calm. It's the unification of our mind, our body, our emotions, our spirit, all to work together in a state of unity and oneness. All right, so we've learned mental centering. We've learned flowering. Our last technique is called cocooning. And each of these techniques has a slightly different purpose, and they can be used individually, or you could put them together, as we will in our final meditation. Typically, they go in this order: mental centering, then flowering, then cocooning. Cocooning is just dynamic meditation. It is not concentration anymore. Concentration is necessary for cocooning. So if you're looking for concentration and meditation, then mental centering and flowering are your techniques. Only once you feel like you're in that state of preparation for transformation do you practice the cocoon. So the technique of cocooning is the technique of bringing all of this focused energy, this loving, beautiful energy, out to surround us. This is the technique that uses the hands the most. And I'm going to move back slightly so you can see my whole body for this meditation technique. So with the cocoon, we want to surround our whole body. The hands start at the heart center. And on the inhalation, we lift the hands up in a straight line. And once the thumbs cross the hairline, we bring all of the fingertips to the crown of the head, the Sushumna Nadi. And then on the next inhalation, we lift the hands up about 6 to 8 inches. And then we seal the hands, left hand on top, to create the top of the cocoon, holding that guidance from our heart and the light that lives within all of us. On the next inhalation, you surround yourself with that light, with that beautiful feeling of love. You imagine the cocoon going underneath your body, and then you seal it with the right hand on top. And then release and bring the hands back. So let's go through just the movement of this together, and then we'll do it 3 times with feeling. So bring your hands to your heart. On the inhalation, lift the hands in a straight line up that central channel of the body. Once your thumbs cross the hairline, separate the hands and bring all of the fingers to the crown of your head. On the next inhalation, imagine that you're lifting that transformative energy, that light and that beautiful feeling up. Seal it with the left hand on top. Feel that light building. And then inhaling, spread that light around you. Keeping the palms facing your body, so you're not blessing the room, you're blessing yourself. And then seal it at the bottom with the right hand on top. And release and bring your hands back to your heart. All right, let's practice this 3 times, and then I'll see if anyone has any questions about this technique in the chat. So bring your hands to your heart. And on the next inhalation, lift your hands. Once the thumbs cross the hairline, separate the hands and bring the fingertips to the crown of your head. Exhale. Inhaling, lift the fingers up. Seal the cocoon at the top with the left hand on top. Inhaling, spread that light around you, creating that cocoon shape. Keeping the palms facing the body. And then seal it at the bottom, right hand on top. And bring the hands back to the heart. Now let's add something with our next one. We're going to add a twist to the left so that we can create the cocoon in the front and the back body. So inhaling, lift your hands up. Exhaling, bring the fingertips to the crown of your head. Inhaling, lift the hands up, seal them. And then twist to your left. And inhaling, spread that light around you. Surround yourself with the guidance of your heart. And then bring that right hand back around and seal it. Bring the hands to your heart center. And then now we're going to twist to the right. So inhaling, lift the hands up. Exhaling, bring the fingertips to the crown of your head. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, seal and twist to the right. And then inhaling, create that three-dimensional cocoon. Bring that right hand around, seal, and bring the hands back to your heart. All right. So let's see if we have any questions about any of these techniques. I'm going to type the names of the other two techniques in the chat. And just notice if already you feel a shift within yourself. Just from doing these three techniques, really just from the point of view of learning them. We're not even really practicing them yet. But you might notice that you are having fewer thoughts. You might notice that your breath has slowed down and become a little deeper. You might notice less agitation. Okay. So I don't see any questions. So let's practice these three techniques again together. And I will guide you through the techniques, but then I will begin to read from the mother to deepen the connection to the mother in Sri Aurobindo. So again, sit comfortably. Let your hands rest on your thighs. Let this represent a state of receptivity. Again, one of the qualities in the mother's symbol. And begin to deepen your breath. And think of this as concentration work, of becoming calm, of turning inward. Not necessarily that transformational, dynamic meditation, but the necessary precursor. When I tell you to start the technique, I will guide you through the first round, and then you'll keep doing the technique until I signal you to move on to the next. So keep moving at your own pace, because everyone's breath is different as I read from the mother. So inhaling, lift your hands beside your ears. for Savitri's Heartful Meditation technique, mental centering. And be aware of the ways in which you feel stuck. What in you is asking to shift? What clarity do you need to move from that stuck place to a place of freedom? Remember that you have all of the answers within you. You just have to clear away the outer influences. On your next exhalation, gather up the parts of your mind that are rigid, that are stuck. And then inhale as the hands come together, holding the parts of you that are resistant, that are unfocused. And then on the next exhalation, draw the hands down to the heart, the place that holds light and beautiful feelings. As you practice these techniques more and more, you are building up this power of concentration. You're building up your receptivity. You're building up all of the 12 qualities of the Mother Simple. And continuing to do these techniques helps you to move even more to our next stage in evolution. So continue to center the mental energy at your own place as you listen to these words from the Mother that describes mental centering. Concentrate in the heart. Enter into it. Go within and deep and far as you can. Gather all the strings of consciousness that are scattered abroad. Roll them up. Take a plunge and sink down. A light is glowing in there, in the quietude of your heart. It is the divinity within you, your true being. Hear its voice. Follow its dictates. Concentrate in the heart. Go within and deep and far as you can. Gather up the strings of consciousness that are spread abroad. Roll them up and take the plunge and sink down. A light is glowing in there, in the quietude of your heart. It is the divinity within you, your true being. Hear its voice. Follow its dictates. Finish the round of mental centering that you are on. Feel that sense of humility and sincerity that you are cultivating through this technique of bowing the mind to the divinity within you. and make more space for that divinity with our next technique, the flowering technique. So bring all 5 fingers of the right hand together at the heart center. Feel how you've gathered up the energy of your mind and bowed it to your heart. And see that beautiful flower, perhaps the dahlias that are still blooming here in Asheville, one of the mother's favorite flowers. See that dahlia as a little bud, and inside that bud, light, and inside that bud, love. And on your inhalations, spread the fingers and let that flower open, spreading light and love throughout your whole body. When it's time to exhale, bring the fingers back together and back to your heart center and begin again. And continue with this technique at your own pace. Be like a flower. Open, frank, equal, generous, and kind. Open to all that surrounds it. Frank, hiding nothing of its beauty. Equal, having no preference. Generous, without reserve or restriction. Kind, with such tenderness. Happy is he who can exchange his qualities with the real qualities of the flowers. Try to cultivate in yourself their refined qualities. Be like a flower. Open. Frank. Equal. Generous. And kind. Finish the round of flowering that you are on. There is no rule about how many rounds of each technique you do. You do however many you feel you need to do in that moment to create that shift. And now our last technique, cocooning. So bring the hands to the heart. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, bring the fingertips to the crown of your head. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, seal with the left hand on top. Inhaling, spread that light and that beautiful feeling from your heart, the divinity from your heart, all around you. Seal it at the bottom with the right hand on top. Bring your hands back to your heart center. And listen to this last passage from the mother as you twist to the left and the right. Those who feel the unquenchable thirst for something different will be protected in a cocoon of light. to traverse all the perils of the convulsions of the old and dying world. For in part of their being, they already belong to the light, to the new world. Those who feel the unquenchable thirst for something different will be protected in a cocoon of light to traverse all the perils of the convulsions of the old and dying world. For in part of their being, they already belong to that light, to the new world. So surround yourself with that light and that divinity to assist the transformation you are looking for at this moment. And then bring the hands back to the heart. And feel that sense of calm, quietness that you've cultivated, but also humility, sincerity, receptivity, aspiration, progress, peace, so much more. And release your hands and open your eyes. And let's leave these last 10 minutes for questions and answers, whether that's in the Q or the A or at the chat.
And you do have a couple in the Q&A also, Letitia.
I see that. All right, so we have a beautiful question. If I'm at my workplace, surrounded by others, is there any way to center oneself, as I can't do any meditation involving movements of the limb at that time? Yes, I understand you, right? You can't just walking around doing these techniques, just out in the world. So I say to you, don't you have to go to the bathroom at some point? And perhaps in the bathroom, do you have some calm, quiet, private time that you can center yourself? And if the answer to that is, well, no, things are a little different, then you can just take the middle finger of your right hand to the heart center and draw yourself back to that quote from the mother. Concentrate in the heart. Go within and deep and far as you can. Gather up the streams of consciousness that are spread abroad. Roll them up and take the plunge and sink down. And as you're making contact with the heart center, you're imagining that your hands are doing the work, right? Gathering up the streams of consciousness that are spread abroad. Rolling them up, taking the plunge and sinking down. And I can guarantee that even if you're using your hand in this way, most people are not going to notice this. This can be a very subtle thing. This is something I do so frequently through the day to keep me centered and focused. And then someone asks if these meditations have a permanent effect. Yes and no. Right? You do use these techniques to build up the energy, to build up the concentration, and then you get to sort of ride on that wave, right? Whenever you stockpile resources, you have them for as long as you have them. And then if you stop doing the meditations and you use up that storehouse of energy, then the effect wanes. I do think that there is a permanent shift that does happen once you start using these techniques that brings you more in contact with the light and the love and the beauty that is within all of us. But practicing the techniques with consistency is what keeps this transformation really present. Tips on stopping the soundtrack of a song going through my mind, and also ear ringing. I also deal with a bit of ear ringing, and I often have songs going through my mind. So here's what I have to say to that, Michael. See what mental centering does to help with that. I find that it does actually help my tinnitus. And also pay attention to that song. And as you're centering the mind, perhaps ask that song, is there something that you want me to know? Is there some message that you are sending to me now? Is there a way in which you actually are coming to me to assist in transformation? And I often find that once I pay attention to that song and let it say what it's supposed to say and have clarity around why it's in my mind, then it disappears. But try mental centering for both of those issues. Okay, will you please explain the similar processes used for healing? I'm not exactly sure what that question means. Can you spell that out for me a little bit more?
Let me see if we can open his mic here. Okay.
Because all of these, it's the same techniques, just with a slightly different focus and mindset.
Okay, so he's come across Yogesh, and you should be able to open your mic and just explain a little bit more your question. Nope.
Thank
there
you.
we go.
Hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to check. So if you have any physical problem, then I heard of it can be used as a healing process. So that's why I just wanted to connect. So you explained the three meditative steps. So how we can use it for healing? It's just a question.
Beautiful. Thank you. I understand now. Thank you for clarifying for me. And it's interesting because clarity is one of the ways in which it does help for healing. So first off, in that whenever we begin to work with our meditation, we are always taking some time to ask a question about what am I looking to shift? What am I looking to transform? What needs assistance? And I often find, even if it's a physical issue that I am dealing with, that I will spend 15 minutes, right? 15 to 30 minutes doing these techniques. And at the end of the meditation, I will have some inner guidance, right? Hear its voice, follow its dictates, that tells me what I need to do to move forward in that healing. Whether it's, okay, I understand that maybe this is what's going on with my hip or my shoulder or my heart or my gut. And who are the people in my circle that can be experts that can assist my healing with this? And the more you do these meditations, I do believe that you start to really know for yourself what is wrong and how you can reach out to others to get the guidance and care that you need to move towards healing. That being said, there are Heartful Meditation practitioners who have shared with me stories of just doing the techniques. And these are just 3 techniques of over 100 techniques that have created healing in their body.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I think also what's really nice about this particular set of 3 that you've shared with us, Letitia, is that you're involving the mind, right? With the mental centering and the heart, with the flowering, and the body with the cocooning. So all three layers of our outer being gets to participate, and obviously the soul with bringing in the readings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother and the 12 qualities. It's hugely powerful. So very, very nice. And I think you just may have one more question down there.
So we have a question about the rhythm of breathing in and out to learn. So the breathing is pretty specific for all of these techniques. So exhale, inhale, and then exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Now, if you run out of breath, like let's say you get to here and you're done with your inhalation, then you just simply exhale and then start the inhalation again. So each of these movements are linked to a particular breath because honestly, that's how we're including pranayama in this practice, right? We move our hands so that we can include asana. We use our breath in a specific way so that we can tap into pranayama. We withdraw our senses so that we can practice pratyahara. All of these techniques support dharana and dhyana, concentration and meditation. And then together with all of these, we move towards samadhi, right? That state of enlightenment or bliss. I find that working with the 12 qualities while flowering and just thinking about, okay, humility, I want more humility. I'm expanding that sense of humility into my body. What clarity do I need to become more humble? Is a beautiful way to work with this and to work with your breath.
Very nice. If there's no other questions, I know we are at the 11 o'clock, but I'm just wondering, Letitia, if you wouldn't mind taking a minute or two and just sharing with attendees who may not be familiar with Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and especially the work that the Mother has done with flowers, which you mentioned earlier, you emphasize in all your meditations. Could you just share a little bit about her work with flowers and where they could learn more?
Sure. So the passage that I read during the flowering technique is actually a much longer passage, but I pulled snippets of it to fit into our time constraint. The Mother believed that flowers had spiritual significance, and she categorized, I think, over 400 flowers with their particular spiritual significance. And that flowers themselves hold that energy, hold that significance. And having flowers nearby in meditation allow you to draw that significance from the flower, draw that essence from the flower, and cultivate it for yourself as well. I think that flowers and their spiritual significance is sort of the shorter, easier book to get to find out the qualities of flowers that the Mother dictated. I'm sure that you probably can get this at La Grasse.
Yeah, we have a few copies of that, absolutely. And I just
copy came from La Grasse.
And just happened to put in the chat box there our website, lagrassecenter.com. And this is where you'll be able to find all of our recorded webinars that we've done in the past, as well as Letitia's today, if you want to call it up and walk through it a couple times. So it should be on there by sometime tomorrow. And we are just very thankful and appreciative, Letitia, for you joining us today and for showing us these heartful meditations. I think what I'd like to do before everybody signs off is just mention that tomorrow on Sunday at this same time, 10 o'clock, We are hosting for probably the fourth or fifth time Dr. Sumitra Basu, and he will discuss Aurobindonian perspective on chakras and explain the relationships that chakras have to planes of being and consciousness, as well as their role in integral yoga. So we hope you can join us for this tomorrow, and you can go on our website that I just posted, and on that homepage, just click on the calendar event and register if you're not registered. And next Saturday, 10 o'clock, we will be hosting James Anderson from Namaha, who will offer an experiential session on how to enhance your immunity. So again, we thank you all, and particularly our instructor today, Letitia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I do teach a regular meditation group. We meditate just for 30 minutes on Mondays. So if you're interested in becoming a part of that, you can go to the website, purnayoga828.com. I put it in the chat, and send me a little message, and I'll get you in.
Thank you, Letitia.
Thank you, HP. So lovely to see you again. Vladimir, Roddy, thank you so much for inviting me. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Namaste, all.
Namaste.